Welcome to Media and Monuments, presented by Women in Film and Video in Washington, D.C. Media and Monuments is conversations featuring industry pros speaking on a wide range of topics of interest to media makers.
Since 1994, Women in Film and Video has celebrated women's creative and technical achievements in media with the Women of Vision Awards. Past winners have included Linda Carter, Penny Marshall, Ruby Dee, and Julie Dash, to name a few. In a special evening event on May 12th, WIFV will recognize the contributions of 3 more amazing women. Abby Greensfelder, founder of Every Woman Studio, Linda Opes, founder of Linda Opes Production, and Vonnya Pettigrew, CEO of Root Branch Media Group. I'm your host, Sandra Abrams, and in this episode, I'll chat with one of this year's honorees, Vonnya Pettigrew. She has over 24 years of professional experience as a filmmaker, writer, TV producer, director, instructor, and casting agent. She's well known for her work with Disney and TV One, but she's also well known for her Film Academy, providing film and digital media lessons for students in grades K through 12. A Philly native, she earned a BA from the University of Maryland. Last month, she received 2 major honors. The Daily Record named her to the list of Maryland's top 100 women, and WIFV named her a Woman of Vision winner. Welcome, Vonnya, to Media and Monuments.
Thank you, Sandra, for having me.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background. You went to Maryland, you interned at the Clinton White House. Tell us, what did you study in school, and how did the White House internship shape your career?
That's an excellent question. So I actually studied speech communications at the University of Maryland, College Park. In my studies, I really wanted to be a professional speechwriter. And so one of my professors sat on a White House roundtable, and he brought members of the White House to visit us in class one day. I was so intrigued, and with his recommendation and guidance, I applied for an internship, and I was accepted into the speechwriting department as an intern. So I was there in 1999 during President Bill Clinton's State of the Union address. And as an intern, I didn't actually write any of his words. However, I did play a part on the research team. So when the president states all the wins of the country for the year and the accomplishments made during his term for that year, our research team would do all of the research to put it into congressional documents that lived in the Congress Library as official presidential papers to support any of the claims or the things that he would state in his State of the Union address.
That sounds like it was a fantastic opportunity for you. Wow, how exciting. Now, I want to circle back with your company. What year did you start your company, and how did you come up with the name of your company?
We started out as Root Branch Productions, and that was back in 2006, while I was actually working full-time in leadership capacity at the Discovery Channel in Silver Spring, Maryland. So while working full-time job, I quickly learned that one of the things about Discovery, like many networks, is it operates more like a corporation versus what you think is happening behind the scenes with this all this production and creative things happening. And what I learned quickly was that the network worked with tons of production companies around the world, yet alone the country, that produced a lot of some of our favorite shows that we would see on many of the networks. And so that's when I realized, although I loved my job, I was more on the corporate side of things and I wanted to be on the creative side. So I started my own media production company so that I could position ourselves to be in a posture to someday create original content for a network like a Discovery.
So And then the name of your company came from?
So Root Branch is actually named in honor of my family. Root Branch Road is actually a place in South Carolina. It's my family's property. And so when I decided to come up with a name for the business, I reached out to the elders of the family and asked their permission to name my company. And it's a very, very rural town in South Carolina, but I really just through our work and our growth put Root Branch, on the map in a way that we would have never imagined.
That's so exciting. That's wonderful.
Yeah, they're very proud.
As they should be. So now you're building this new space for your company. That is such a huge, daunting undertaking. So maybe you can share a little bit, like, how did that come about? Why did you do that?
So, yes, you are referring to our new endeavor, which I have named the RBMG building, which is the home of our new media studios that sits on Baltimore's beautiful inner harbor, literally on the waterfront. The water is across the street. Everything about this acquisition is huge and monumental, being a woman of color, owning on the harbor. It hasn't been done before. So, definitely gaining a lot of traction and attention in that regard. But honestly, the opportunity came in a very organic way when the pandemic hit and other businesses were kind of closing down and downsizing. Being a media company, it was an opportunity for us to really pivot, grow, and expand because let's be honest, it was really the access to technology and the use of media during those 2 years of COVID that really kept us safe, kept us connected to our work and to our families and entertainment. And so everyone quickly learned the value of media assets. Businesses needed the media assets to pivot and stay afloat in the education space. We sent our children home to learn virtually. And in a city like Baltimore where students didn't have internet or actual computers. So what were they to do? So my company was a part of a solution in the midst of a health crisis where we basically produced a pilot for a kid TV show that we pitched to Baltimore City Public School to basically take the curriculum that the students were sent home to learn. And we produced 30-minute kid episodes for students in grades pre-K through fifth, teaching them the content that they would have learned in class. And because, again, they didn't have internet or computers, they were able to watch TV and learn their lessons. And so it was a model that quickly took off, and other education organizations provided funding for us to continue to work with them and produce a bank of content so that their teachers could be trained and so that their students can continue to learn remotely. And, honestly, Sandra, in that first couple months of the pandemic from April 2020 through August 2020, we produced 105 episodes of this 30-minute show. So we were like essential personnel. The pandemic was really fresh and new. It was very scary still. And it put us in a space, in a posture where I needed a space, a studio space to keep producing this much volume of content. And so while we were just doing what we were doing, the building that we are purchasing is the old barcoding building. And so barcoding reached out to us to say, hey, we moved into a bigger building. Can you guys create us some marketing content to show our new space? And while I was interviewing their CEO for the video, I shared with him, the work we were doing and that I was in the market for a studio. And he said, oh, well, our old building is for sale and it's not on the market. Make me an offer. And I was like, what? Never did I imagine that I would be, presented with an opportunity to buy a property that was such prime real estate. Like I said, that sits on the harbor, literally on Front Street. And it's a 15,000 square foot building. It's an entire block long. And so here we are building studios, a coffee shop, and We have offices for lease that have already attracted the industry, and media professionals hang out in the building all day. Like, we're fully leased out. We have maybe 1 or 2 units available right now, and it's just amazing.
That's phenomenal. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to do that? Because here you are, a woman-owned business, and trying to get funding for that. This is a huge undertaking. What advice would you give to people who are doing something like this, who are making the leap to do this?
Well, you know what? I will honestly stay true to the vision. When I first took on this endeavor, traditional banking, traditional financing, quite honestly wouldn't touch me, because it didn't really, my growth was so fast. The track record of the revenues didn't make enough sense to take a gamble on. But the more they understood who we are, the social impact we have in the community, and we're proving the model of what the access of media is able to do for all industries. It's like they're taking more of the story behind it, coupling it with my numbers, and the offers are coming. When I first started, it was treated very much like a traditional real estate commercial development deal. They're looking at comps, they're looking at this, and I'm like, but what are you comparing it to? It doesn't exist. We're not a media town in Baltimore, so you're not going to find another studio that's comparable to what we do, having the impact that we have, and the reach and access that we're providing for our constituents who happen to be inner city children who don't have access.
Well, that's amazing, though, that you were able to do that. Um, I want to ask you, a little bit more about the kids, because that's how I learned about you. When they first were talking about the Women of Vision Award and this program, the partnership, and it's such important work. You talked a little bit about how this came about through the pandemic, but creating those partnerships sounds like it's a very arduous situation. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about that and how it came about, what advice do you give to people on that?
Although I obviously understand media, I know production, really learning the education space was something that is not something I knew. But those alliances, the partnerships with youth organizations, they really worked with me to learn processes, because quite honestly, we hold a 3-year contract with Baltimore City Public School, but it is still technically a government contract. And so there's a lot of things that are very procurement like about it. There are a lot of things that, from an education side, we still have to show data and metrics to show that our curriculum is effective and is making a difference in the students' learning. So all of that part was new to me. So having our principals and our partners at schools really work with us, because they don't want to lose us. They don't want to lose our program. So they're willing to do the things to help us really continue to show and validate in the data that the quality and the effectiveness of our program. So for someone who's trying to do something in an industry that they don't really know, it's okay that that's not your skill set, but you link up with other subject matter experts that can really stand in the gap for you and ally on your behalf. Because like I said, we carry a multi-million-dollar contract with the school district to be able to perform this work. And as you know, like I know, across all industries, people left the workforce. So the schools are no different. So many teachers left the schools. And so by me having a robust program, I can provide staffing of 40 media arts instructors that are going into the schools to fill the gap and making a difference, because they're learning something that's 21st century to continue to help them be competitive in this market space. And we're literally fulfilling a human capital need.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. I guess I wonder, dealing with kids, what is that like compared to your other production work? What have you learned from the kids in this particular situation?
Well, one thing I learned is that they know a lot more than we give them credit for. Because they literally come out the womb, it seems nowadays, knowing already how to swipe left, and they know the technology, they know how to use these phones and cameras. So where we come in, because again, I'm old school TV. I have over 24 years of experience. So, and I'm coming from a major network, so we're able to still give them those fundamentals that work in a TV network space. Even though there's Netflix and all of these other things, there's some core fundamentals that are still the same. And so our curriculum teaches them creative development. It teaches them about creating socially responsible content, particularly as young people and young people of color. Quite honestly, they're depicted very negatively in the media. But now we're empowering them to be content creators. So they're able to change the narrative and change the way they are seen and depicted in the media and by the media, because they are the media.
Absolutely. Can you share any success stories that we may not know about that you've done with these kids? Anything in particular?
Well, we started working with the kids back in 2010. And so with it now being 2023, we have students that were like in eighth grade or so when we started out. And some of them have gone on to pursue careers in media, gone on to universities studying journalism. And I mean, and some of them are even, young parents now themselves. And so just to see the impact of the summer or the school year that they had with us and how much it has shaped them. So I get notes and photos and stuff from parents, and I actually have grandparents who faithfully make donations to our program, even though their children are young adults now, but they really value what that experience with us many years ago. So without even asking, I almost always receive donations from certain parents and grandparents.
Wow, that's great to see that thread continue and what's happening, with their lives. I wanted to ask you about your Goldman Sachs, the 10K Small Business Program. I used to work in New York as a print reporter covering Wall
Ah,
Street. So, at one point I worked for CNN Financial News as a TV producer, TV producing experience. But I saw the Goldman Sachs and I know how prestigious Goldman Sachs is. So I, I,
yes.
I, I was like, wow, that is so impressive. So maybe can you talk about that program, how it came about, and what did you learn from that program that is helping you today?
So I actually went through the Goldman Sachs 10K SB program right when the pandemic hit. So we were in session in person, and then we got the notice that we couldn't return to campus because everybody was going virtual. So it was a very strange time. But it was very beneficial because again, there was so much uncertainty, and we, across everything from your job and being a business owner, we were really like, oh my God, how are we gonna, stay afloat? What are we gonna do? And so by being in the midst of this cohort, I had a community, I had a tribe to go through this with. And so I actually am the ambassador of my cohort. So I'm always talking up the program. They always tap me on the shoulder to come speak about something or appear in a video or commercial or something about the program. But we say we are the forever COVID cohort. Um, and
The
one of the
COVID cohort.
Yep,
There you
we're
are.
the COVID cohort. But one of the things I will say, which was a huge success story that talks back to our work with the kids, when the pandemic hit, this was even before I did the whole produce the kid TV show thing. When the governor of Maryland said, we need to go home, again, I was like, oh my gosh, what I'm going to do as a business. And then I have all these teachers that teach in the schools. So now the teachers don't work. So again, I'm seeing hits all over the place. But I shifted my focus to our kids. I was like, well, how are they coping with this? Like, I know how scary this is as an adult, but what do they think is happening? So I came up with this idea to launch a kid video contest called Root Branch Video Contest Kids on COVID-19, like kids speaking out on COVID-19. So I created this concept to do a video contest. And it started out just for Baltimore. And I said, let's do a contest, have the kids make 2-minute videos. They upload it, tell us how they're staying connected to their schoolwork, how they're staying safe with their families and in their communities. I called up my point of contact through my Goldman Sachs 10KSB. She's from Mike Bloomberg's philanthropies office. I called her up and I said, what do you think of this? And she said, call me. This was like on a Saturday. And so she loved it. She said, let me make a couple phone calls. By that Monday, Bloomberg Philanthropies and T. Rowe Price Foundation together provided me with the funding to do this contest. And so I was able to create a website. The website actually still exists, so you can go there and watch some of these submissions. And we put it out there on social media. And then next thing you know, educators from all over, from New Jersey and Delaware, were like, can my kids do this too? And so since I made up the game rules, I said, sure, if you're in U.S. territory, your kid can participate. And we ran the contest for like 3-4 weeks. And then we let the public vote on the videos. And then we pulled together an incredible lineup of judges that included T. Rowe Price, Goldman Sachs, Bloomberg Philanthropies. We had Time Kids magazine, Nat Geo Kids, Discovery Kids. Like, these were the judges that judged the videos. And we gave out cash prizes. We did it for elementary, middle school, and high school, 3 grade bands, 3 prizes, $500, $250, $100. But here's why this was also so important. Our parents were losing their jobs and they were all at home. So families literally needed money. So I was like, guys, if we're going to do this, we can't overcomplicate it. So whoever won, I literally was like, kid, give me your mom, dad cash app. And we just sent them the money. Like, it wasn't this overly drawn out, issuing the funds process, and we really put real cash in the hands of these families. And one of our judges loved it so much, loved watching the videos, that their company gave $25 gift cards to every single student who participated in the contest. I mean, it was just, all of this happened, and then the whole TV show thing happened with all the episodes. So it was just, the pandemic was just a whirlwind.
It sounds like everybody was a winner in that situation.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, so last month you received not 1, but 2 honors. So you were named to the list of Maryland's top 100 women. And then you were also, WIFV named you a Woman of Vision winner. So what does it mean to you to be named a Woman of Vision winner?
Listen, like, it's like, people jokingly say your life is like a movie, but I really feel like my life is like a movie right now. It is such a high honor. When you all sent me the letter in the mail, which I thought was amazing, it was a real letter, guys, mailed. And so, because I was in the middle of moving between our old building and a new building, I don't even know how long it was in the mailbox, but when I opened it, I was sitting in my car. I remember it was at night, and I read the top of the message that said I was getting an award. And I was like, wow. And I said, well, let me get home, because I'm sitting in my car at night in the parking lot reading a letter. So that's not probably the best idea. And so when I got home, though, and I pulled the letter out and I kept reading the letter, and I saw that prior, recipients were Gwen Ifill, Ruby Dee, Cicely Tyson, Penny Marshall, I was floored. And I was like, and Vonnya Pettigrew? Like, wow, 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 wow. So I've won many awards for different things, but this is truly a high honor. I mean, I look up to women like Gwen Ifill and Ruby Dee. I was like, Cicely Tyson as in Miss Jane Pittman? Come on. So truly, it's been an incredible honor. I can't even express enough, my gratitude and how humbling it is to receive this honor from you all.
Well, we feel very fortunate that you're going to be one of this year's honorees. So thank you, Vonnya. a Woman of Vision winner. And thank you for joining us on Media and Monuments. To learn more about her work, go to rootbranchmediagroup.com. WIFV's Women of Vision Awards event will be Friday, May 12th. For tickets, go to WIFV.org. And to see a list of previous winners that Vonnya was just talking about, you can go to WIFV.org/Women of Vision Awards. Thank you, Vonnya, for joining us today.
Thank you again so much.
Thank you for listening to Media and Monuments, a service of Women in Film and Video in Washington, D.C. Please remember to review, rate, and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. For more information about WIFV, please visit our website at WIF as in Frank, V as in Victor.org.